I knew really early on that I was not interested in a traditional agency. What I really cared about was just the marketing and doing the work and getting to meet other businesses or other executives, and you hear the mission, their strategic vision, and what drives their goals for organizations. Like, that's what I love.
Hey everyone, this is Carmen Devat, and this is Behind the Founders. Joining me here today is Natasha Bhogal. Natasha, welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. So I'm Natasha Bhogal. I'm based here in Los Angeles, and I'm a senior marketing leader or fractional CMO of a company called InCurrent Creative, which I founded in 2017.
Great. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. To get us started, how did you start the business of InCurrent Creative?
Yeah, it's actually a really funny story. So when I was in college, I never thought to be an entrepreneur. Like, that path had never crossed my mind, and it was never something that I was leaning towards. But after college, I was working for a startup, and at that startup, I met a couple of very senior folks in various departments, and they introduced this idea of consulting to me. And at that time, it wasn't really heard of to be a freelancer or a consultant in any industry unless you were working for like a big four, like a true consultant. And so they kind of planted the seed of like being a consultant. And I was really curious. So I went on Thumbtack, saw a lot of people on that app who were looking for like marketing or PR services. And that's truly how I got started. I pitched 2 clients, not even realizing that they were clients. I did 2 jobs for them, and it turned into long-term engagements, which snowballed into referrals, and it just grew over time into what it is today.
Amazing, amazing. It's always the surprises, the plot twists, the unexpected, right? Because oftentimes we don't know where life is going to take us, but sometimes there can be very lovely surprises along the way. So for the listeners and the audience out there tuning into this podcast, can you explain to the audience who have never come across InCurrent Creative, what exactly is it that you do and what is your mission?
Yeah, totally. So InCurrent Creative is a full funnel marketing consultancy, not to be confused with agency. I say this all the time. I think
Okay.
when we think of women in marketing or women who have businesses in marketing, we naturally think about an agency. So there's a founder, there's a director, you have this entire team of people and lots of clients coming in and a lot of like full service agency level work in marketing. But a full funnel consultancy is a little different where we're a team of consultants. So I'm the head consultant and I have a team of my own consultants that I bring in project wise. So based on client needs or what's happening with folks coming in and out of InCurrent Creative, I'll bring in other consultants to support. Those consultants can be other marketers, they can be designers, video editors, producers, graphic designers, web editors. It's really just whatever the client needs in order to be able to achieve full funnel strategic marketing. So full funnel means that we start at the top of a traditional marketing funnel. So top of funnel, social media channels. We want to bring in as many interested buyers as possible and generate leads for you on the B2B side. And we nurture them all the way down to be either a completed customer or someone that continues to return and buy your product or service. So the full funnel side typically and traditionally is more B2B based. And so a lot of the companies that I work with are in education or they're wholesalers or they're just not on the glitz and glam side of marketing or like packaged goods or lifestyle or retail. It's the other side, the more traditional, unsexy side of marketing of businesses really looking to help expand their own business offerings and bring in clients for themselves.
What kind of clients have you been working with? How many clients do you currently have?
Yeah. So I think when InCurrent first like rebranded and really took off, my goal was no more than 10 clients at a time, just realistically because it's a consultancy and there isn't a large team bandwidth wise. And I think I have just learned that the smaller the number, the better. And I just feel the work is so much more impactful and we can do so much more by serving under five really big corporate B2B clients. And I mesh myself directly within their teams, which is where we get into the fractional work.
Yeah. I love that, you've positioned yourself as being very quality driven rather than taking a bunch of clients in, because that's when you can really be more intentional and purposeful and help them to scale up as well. So you mentioned that you focus more on a lot of the traditional side of the companies that need a lot of support and help in those marketing aspects. From the partnerships and collaborations that you have done with your existing or pre-existing clients, what were some of the challenges that you have identified when working with them in terms of helping them in those marketing aspects?
So because of the model behind InCurrent Creative, the qualifications for the clients that I typically work with need to exceed 2 million in revenue. So those are typically more well established. They've been around. They have a good revenue stream flowing. And I think the challenges that I'm noticing, I actually had a conversation with someone recently about this, which is the bigger the client and the more money they make, the more rules you have to abide by in their internal organization, even though you are a consultant. So though I'm not a full-time employee for any of my clients and we have this consulting relationship, I still abide by their procurement processes, which are very different than mine. I have to use their tools, their systems, adopt all of their programs, which may not be intuitive to me, whether it's Asana or Monday.com, like whatever dashboard or custom configuration they're using, it's my job to kind of come in and learn it. And it's always different for every client. So even if I have my own consultants coming in and supporting a project, there's this learning curve of I need to work with my own team and help them understand the client and their systems and tools. And then when we get into the people management portion of it, I think that's also been pretty challenging, where anytime like a senior consultant is coming in, regardless of the organization, I think full-time, staff members always get a little nervous. So they're like, why? Who's this person? Why are they coming in? What are they here to do? And so I think we don't talk about it enough, but there are a lot of challenges for consultants coming in at that level where you still have to do this people management portion and you still have to build that team with them, even though you are not a full-time employee of the clients, right? Like you have to work with them, talk to them, engage with them. There's still a level of professional development that you are obligated to provide to help them succeed. And then, of course, if they're unable to succeed, then there's a different conversation with executives of, okay, well, it's not working out. It seems like we need to clean up shop and rehire. So there's a lot of challenges and nuances in that people management portion that can be really taxing sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine as well. And how do you manage that, especially when it's about managing people, managing expectations?
Yeah, it's really hard. It is really
I
hard.
can imagine people are complicated, right? Humans are complicated. You cannot predict them.
I recently had a situation where with one of the client teams I work with, there was a member of their team who was just taking everything that I was doing in a negative way. Even though my intentions were, of course, not negative, it was always from a place of like, let's grow and learn and up level our work. And that was a really interesting situation because I had no idea that someone was feeling, a certain type of way. And I think all you can do is just try to be as grounded as possible and just really let the other person talk and communicate their feelings and create a space where it's okay for them to share these things and just name for them, like, what do you need from me so that you feel supported and that you can move forward? Like, I think that's been a big thing for me. I can't just always come in and say, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and this is the way. It has to be a very collaborative process because of the model of like coming into a team and like really supporting them all the way through. So just naming for them again and again, like, what do you need from me in order to feel like you're being successful? And everyone's answer is always different. It's never the same answer. And so just figuring out how you're going to then provide what somebody else will, whether it's time consuming or not for you, or if it's something that you've never done before. Like there's also that professional development for me as I'm navigating through this. And
Yeah, sure. It's definitely, from everything that you've shared, it's a huge learning curve because you're also building a lot of adaptability. And I think what's so interesting to shed light on is that as founders, you are also learning a lot of new things. They're learning how to navigate different expectations, needs, requirements from people, and also while learning about new tools and systems that you've navigated. So it's like, it's also challenging, but it's also, there's this rewarding aspect at the same time that you're also continuously growing and growing as well. And I think this is something that's extremely valuable for the listeners out there to understand, especially as a founder that you are learning and growing too. So, Natasha, I would actually love to revisit something that you mentioned earlier in this podcast is really to challenge the differences in terms of marketing consultancy and marketing agency. And I find it very interesting, that there's this emphasis on that. So what would you say is the difference between a consultancy and an agency?
Yeah. So I don't know if the consultancy is a true like name. I think it's something that I have just started saying to explain what it is that I do. And the context behind it is, the more I meet folks and they ask me, what are you doing? What is InCurrent Creative? I think the assumption is if you work in marketing and you founded a business, the natural direction is you have an agency. Like the only way to scale and grow is by building an agency. And I knew very early on that I did not want to be an agency. Like I said, I didn't really choose the entrepreneur, like founder path. It just kind of happened. But I knew really early on that I was not interested in a traditional agency, having worked at many agencies prior. And I didn't like this, lots of people that you hire. Again, the people management portion of it, the payroll systems, the infrastructure. What I really cared about was just the marketing and doing the work and getting to meet really cool people along the way. Like when you meet other businesses or other executives and you hear the mission and, like their strategic vision and what drives their goals for organizations, like that's what I love. Working one-on-one with these founders or CEOs or organizations and like helping their team succeed. That was always the most meaningful thing to me. And so I was really clear with folks. I'm not an agency. When you hire me of InCurrent Creative, like you're not getting an account manager and an assistant, an intern. Like you're not getting this illusion of like 6 people on a team managing your account. And I also want clients to understand that they're not one of 100 clients inside of InCurrent Creative's structure. It's like very personalized, very tailor-made, like exactly what the client needs in order to succeed to meet their goals. And they have teams that need the help, right? Like they have teams that are doing the work, but they're just unable to achieve their goals. And so that's where the consultancy came in. It was you're hiring InCurrent Creative, but you're really hiring me, the primary consultant of the business. And as our scope of work expands, I will bring in folks that I have vetted to help you continue to achieve those goals as needed.
Yeah, great. So far we've talked a lot about what the ideal partnerships collaboration looks like when you're working with all these clients. Let's talk a little bit more about your current internal team setup at InCurrent Creative. So if you could walk us through a little bit about how many people are on your team, who does what, the specific unique roles, and would love to hear more about that.
Totally. So my core team is made up of 3 people internally. They're all consultants, and I'll be really transparent that 2 of those 3 are actually offshore. So they're in the Philippines, and I have found in this entire process that offshoring the work has led to the best results possible, which I know may be the opposite of what most folks think. And I have had clients who have chosen not to work with me because of my offshore team.
Okay.
Like it just goes against whatever it is they believe in, or their core values. But when I was looking to expand, like there's only so much one person can do, right? And as you're trying to like build capacity and to stay in like a more strategic mindset, you definitely need more hands on deck to do the implementation. And so I had started offshoring with a company called the Freedom Geek. It worked out really well for me. I hired my first offshore person, and she's great. And she's still, it's been like 3 years. She's been with me since day one. And she does a lot of the content management, video editing. She's like very, very creative and excellent in her job. Prior to finding her, I had interviewed so many folks, anywhere here in the US. And I was just finding that I wasn't getting someone who was so motivated as I was, who was just so passionate about the work and passionate about doing the work in a way that really served the client well. That's what I was really struggling with. Like anyone can do the job, but it was really hard for me to find folks that cared as much as I did and went above and beyond to make sure that whatever was being produced was not surface value. It was in the best interest of the client. So then I hired another offshore person. She is my marketing manager, and she has truly been my ride or die. And I think we have a really beautiful relationship. She's very hands off. We meet once a week. In that week, we communicate via Slack and Notion, and it's been incredible. And then my third person is a designer. She's a consultant based here in the US. And we've been working together again for about three to 4 years. And I really lean on her for like website design, landing pages, like bigger design projects that kind of come through. And she has a really good marketing lens. So that's my core team.
Okay.
And as other needs arise, other consultants come in on a project, like per
Yeah.
project basis.
Yeah, that makes sense. So regarding the offshore hiring, the support that you've been getting, they're all based in the Philippines?
Yes, two of them are based in the Philippines. Yep.
Okay. And how do you manage and navigate the time differences?
Yeah, it's actually not so bad. I mean, there is a huge time difference, right? Like their morning does not start until my afternoon. Like I'm
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
So, when we usually meet, it's around 5 or 6 p.m. my time. And honestly, I have found that it actually works out really great because the talent that I'm hiring is really good at what they do. And so our touch points once a week are really just about just making sure everything's good, answering questions, like giving them the support that they need. But the majority of our communication lives via Slack or on Notion, which is my like management tool. And if something is really complicated, I'll record a Loom video. I record Loom videos for clients too, and I'll
Oh.
send it over. And yeah, it actually works out really well. Like, I don't feel that there's a time difference or a delay or that it's hurting me. I think it's
Mhm.
been best solution for me personally.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I'm glad that you're able to find something that really works well for you. And just wanted to revisit something that you mentioned earlier, how some of the clients that you bring in have reservations when it comes to finding out that, hey, you have some offshore staffing. I would love to hear from your perspective. Why do you think that is that a lot of people have certain reservations when it comes to offshore staffing?
Yeah, personally, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I think there is some fear of I'm scared that this is a scam, or I'm
Okay.
scared my account will get hacked or it'll get flagged.
Mm.
Even though I can reassure them that, like, look, I'm here, I'm overseeing it. It's nothing like that. But if someone's logging into your like HubSpot, for example, and a client will get a notification like someone in the Philippines at this time
Right.
log in, like it looks
Okay.
phishing.
Right.
And I have to keep reminding them over and over again, like, it's not phishing, I promise. Like this is just what it is. So I think there's just some fear behind it of you may get hacked or like something is not right. And so I think that's one aspect. And I think the other aspect is clients have like, told me directly that it just doesn't align with some of their core values. So some clients who are really focused on like community building in their local areas or up leveling the businesses in their local area, I think their core values stand behind trying to give as many folks in that community an opportunity to earn an income or, find a professional and meaningful career. And so it would go against their core values. I think that's really nuanced, very nuanced, but I can understand it, right? Like if you are like a chamber association, for example, your job for being a chamber, let's say of like Los Angeles or another city here, of course, as the chamber, you want as many businesses to come in and as many jobs to be created for your city to thrive. So I can understand why you would have reservations about a company who.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, when you're talking about the core values, that it's going against the core values, what exactly do the clients mean by that? Is it because they're looking for somebody that's on site, or are there other aspects to it?
Yeah, I think it's just the core value of like if you are an organization that's really community focused or community driven. So let's use like Santa Monica. Like I live really close to Santa Monica. If your organization was all about building community in the city of Santa Monica, as part of building community, you would want to provide as many resources and opportunities to all the residents in Santa Monica. So if there's a business coming in or a consultancy that you're working with that is not open to hiring locally or hiring anywhere in the US, I think there's just
Mhm.
this feeling to it of well, why can't we hire here? Why must you go offshore? And
Mhm.
I think the nuance here is because it's marketing and there's this feeling that like, marketing isn't as technical or it's not as complicated as you offshoring an entire like web development team that does
Mhm.
hosting. It's
Yeah.
it's not as technical that you would have to go offshore because there's truly no one here to do it. It's you could find someone here to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I think the beauty when it comes to offshore staffing is that it really does open up a lot of doors because you're not so restricted when it comes to finding the right talent or the right person that would help you to grow your business or grow, in your case, the marketing consultancy, right? Because it would just open up a lot of doors that, it doesn't matter where in the world you are, as long as you establish a really good form of communication and you're able to find the right person who's really sharing the same mindset, the same passion, same aspirations and so on, then that's really what it matters. Is really finding the right person out there, whether they're really in different time zones and things like that. Yeah, yeah.
I tell everyone that if I didn't know that these two girls that I hired were in the Philippines, like I would have never questioned it. I would have been like, yeah, you can be anywhere. Like you could be in
Hmm.
LA. I wouldn't question it because the quality of the work is so good and the
Hmm.
way we work together is so strong that I would never even think like you're in the Philippines or you're in India or
Yeah.
I was just like, you're just great at what you do and that's all that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So currently at the current stage where you're at, do you feel like you are experiencing any challenges where you're like, okay, if I could delegate something immediately for extra support, what would it look like?
Yeah, actually, I think that's where AI kind of comes in because
Okay.
the need for wanting to free up bandwidth or try to create a process where recurring projects or recurring tasks that you're doing on a daily or weekly basis can be offloaded to something else or somebody else. In this case, it would be Claude or
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
yeah. The main two.
Yeah, so I think it actually makes more sense to find ways to leverage AI in those ways because a lot of those projects or tasks, they don't need to be done by a person. I also think that if I am bringing in another consultant or I'm hiring someone to support InCurrent Creative, like I want them to do actual meaningful work.
Okay.
That's like they're designing something or they're writing something or like we're
Mhm.
actually doing things inside of a client's funnel. But if the task is something as simple as data reporting,
Yeah.
use of anybody's time. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter like what your seniority is. It's not a good use of anybody's time to sit there and, put numbers in a cell.
Mhm.
I have tools now that are really strong and these tools actually very rarely make mistakes, at least from what I've seen on the marketing end. Like they're pretty good and they can do the data analysis and the reporting very strong. They can create really great insights. And if that can be offloaded to an AI tool and it just
Mhm.
runs repetitively, great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think when it comes to AI, right? And we can definitely dive more into that. Do you currently in your core team, are you proactively introducing different AI trainings just so that they can all upskill when it comes to fulfilling their role?
Yeah. So I think initially, and I think there was just a wave of this everywhere. It was this fear of, I don't want to be caught using AI because,
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah, yeah.
and I've always named like, why is it a bad thing? It's actually a really great thing that you're using it and you're learning from it and,
Mhm.
understanding it. So
Yeah.
I tell my core team all the time, use it. And if you don't have, like, if you're not paying for a license yourself, like I will invite you into my enterprise license. And you should use it and play around with it and use it for your client work because it will help you. Like it will only make you stronger. It will not replace you. Definitely will not replace you. It will just make you stronger and more efficient at your work. And so my VA, my marketing VA, I just gave her a content brief for social media content just for InCurrent Creative. And I named for her, like, generate this using AI. Like,
Yeah.
let's have fun. Let's play around with it. Let's see what it's capable of doing and see if that works. So
Yeah.
I'm very AI forward. And then for clients, part of the senior marketing work has now been helping clients understand AI and adopt AI into their own infrastructure. Part of my work has been just figuring out what are the challenges clients are facing that I'm seeing on a regular basis. And I will go and I'll create like a custom GPT for them, or like I will schedule tasks for them in an AI tool and I'll help their team like adopt it and use it. And so far it's working pretty great.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. I'm loving that how you're really just normalizing AI tools because I think there's probably there are always like two sides or two opinions or people have really polarized opinions when it comes to AI. And part of it is also like using AI could be such a taboo. We really have to prove ourselves in our writing and our posts that we're not using AI, especially with the dashes, especially with the hyphens. And because of that, people feel the need to worsen their quality of, let's say, creating a text or a caption or
Sure.
content just to prove that they were not using AI. But you know what? I think it's really about the perspective of like that, how we use it, that there shouldn't be like an over dependency, but it's a useful tool to really help you generate ideas and so on and so forth. Yeah. So Natasha, just one final question. And this is a question I typically love to ask towards the end of every episode to all my guests coming here. If there was one piece of advice or insight that you would love to pass on to someone who's considering to start a business or someone who's curious about diving into the world of being an entrepreneur or a founder, what would it be?
Yeah, I have two.
All right.
I can give you two. I don't think both are that great. So I think you can choose between the two. Like whoever's listening, you can choose between the two, which one you like better. But the first piece of advice that I received from someone that really rubbed me wrong is actually the advice that is like always ringing in my ears till date, which was you don't need a lot of clients to be successful. You just need a small handful that you can charge a lot for in retainers. And that in itself is really successful and leads to sustainable growth. When someone told me this, this was before I had rebranded to InCurrent Creative and it was very early stages of my consulting. And, there was this ego of like, I want all the clients. I want to do all the things.
The more the better. Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't understand this idea. And that's why I really harp on the distinction between consultancy versus agency. Agency has a lot of clients coming in and out. Yeah. Consultancy is like a very small core number of clients. And that has led, at least for me, it's the most sustainable approach that has led to so much like revenue growth year over year moving forward. And it's just very sustainable. It's very healthy. There's a healthy relationship in this business. And as other like women start to find their own businesses that offer services, the advice that they're always going to hear is build an agency. You need to scale. And building an agency, getting an office, like hiring people, like doing all the things under that agency realm under like growth. But that is not the only way that growth can be captured. And you don't like, it's not a and or, it's you have multiple different ways that you can build and grow. And it is absolutely possible with a very small core number of clients.
Great. Love that.
And the second one, which I really love for me, it's not for everybody. I'll name that. It's not for everybody is like lean into the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times there are a lot of ideas that come or that feeling of you get this gut feeling if something is for you or not. I think a lot of us are taught to ignore that. Like ignore your gut feeling. Ooh. Your gut is wrong, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have weird vibes about someone, you typically ignore it. And then later on you realize gut
you're like all along. Yeah.
The same thing in business. I feel like there is this gut feeling and lean into it. And you're going to feel so much resistance all the time. And I have found that when you just take a step back and really lean into that resistance and feel uncomfortable and think about why am I feeling all this resistance, you will find that there is something else that you need to learn, some other piece of information that just has not unfolded yet that you need in order to move forward. And so all the resistance that I have felt, I have just taken a step back. I don't put pressure on it. I don't try to force myself into doing something. I just wait and I see. And usually something else needs to unfold. And then I make an even better decision that leads to something a lot more beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Natasha. I feel like both of those insights are extremely insightful and very intentional as well. I love what you mentioned about the first advice about quality over quantity. And through that, you're able to build long-term sustainable partnerships rather than just gathering a bunch of clients, but really focusing on retention and long-term partnerships, which of course builds a lot of trust as well. So I really value both of that. And I hope, and I'm pretty sure that the listeners out there are going to have a couple of takeaways from this particular episode. So Natasha, thank you so much again for coming on. And it's been lovely chatting with you. This is Behind the Founders. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode.